Welcome back to the channel. My name is John Decker. Today I am going to be continuing my French cleat project for the barn wall behind me. Here on the wall I have a template that makes it so that the space between the French cleats is about 4.5 inches. But this primarily is going to be for cabinetry and again for larger components. If you see the laser level bouncing when I do things like hitting the wall, it's because I'm sitting in a pier and skirt barn right now. The ground is not cement, it's wood. And it's wood that's 100 and some odd years old, and it's pretty spongy. That'll be something in the future that gets replaced, but it is currently my goal to make sure that the outer walls of the building are secure and have, ways to store things so I can get everything up off the floor so that the floor can become a project in the future. So let's try to make it as simple as possible. First things first, I have a template for how high to run my drill. And on my drill, I've got I don't know what the term for this thing is, but it's so screws can inset. I don't know. Anyways, and I've got two kinds of screws here. There's this, I should rephrase, two length of screws here. I've got GRKs 9 and 3, or number 9's 3 1/8, and some number 9 2-inch. I already had the 2-inch. The 3 1/8 I picked up the other day. There are only a handful of studs in this wall, but the wall is made out of OSB now. So anyways, so let's go ahead and see if this works the way that I'm hoping it will. And we're going to take the next cleat. The sharp part goes up and the short side goes towards the wall. I really don't know if this is going to work, so you guys get to experience it with me. All right, so template on the wall all the way down. Actually, that feels pretty solid when I'm holding it there. If I can get those two holes drilled and ready to accept the screw, then I can get this up. Now because those are both studs, I'm going to use long screws. I wish there was an easier way to do this. I should have started from the bottom and worked my way up, but it's where my level could sit because I didn't have anywhere else to clip it. There we go, right about there. And that looks just about right. Okay, all right, now. All right. Before I go on with this, I want to make sure I didn't screw that up because I need to make sure that that is still level. Yeah, actually, did okay. Still level. Good. Run the rest as time lapse. Just be a little bit more efficient in my time today. Couple key learnings. Number one, if you're doing this, start at the bottom. I started in the middle because I was just like, that's where my laser level was. But start at the bottom. You'll thank me later. You can work your way up with a template like I did, or if you want to step back and set your laser level at all the different levels and mark for that. I would have done that, except there's just a pile of stuff behind me right now, or in front of me technically, and tripping over it to get to where the laser level is and back is just wasn't worth it. So other key learnings, if you know where your studs are, like if you're on a traditional framed building, 16-inch on center, then you could set your drill pattern on your cleat right on the money every single time. I don't have that luxury because this building was built with balloon framing and the studs are all, some of them are 19 on center, some of them are 24 on center. I had one that I put an extra kind of half stud into to match where I needed it to be because the stud only came halfway down the wall. And I don't understand how they built things back in the day, but apparently studs didn't matter as much. Anyhow, so now every single hole that you see here is not a stud, but most of them are. So number 3 key learning, don't do this in the cold. You're going to end up fumbling things around like I did. Number 4 key learning, get a tool belt that fits drills because you're going to wish you had. Number 5 key learning, have somebody else do it for you if you can afford it. So I was pretty sure that I was doing a time lapse for that whole thing, but it turns out I only time lapsed for like 75% of it. One last cleat to put up on the wall right up in there. And because I don't have my miter saw set up on the long side of the garage, I ended up using the radial saw to do the cuts. So a couple of them are a little bit off, but the cleats all line up at the top and they're all level. So that's really all that matters right now. If later on in a year or in a couple years time, I care enough to come back and recut these to make them nice and flat, I'll do that. But for today, I just need to get this done. So here's the last one to go up, and see if I can get this finished tonight. Each one of these cleats is slightly a different width. I think when I ripped those 4-inch boards down the middle, the cut was off by about a blade's width. So the goal here really is to make sure that when they slide across, anything up there is sitting evenly. All right, looks pretty even. I got one hole that I need to put in the middle, and I may actually come back at some point and split the difference on each one of these where they're about 19 inches apart. I just don't have enough screws to do that right now. And that left me with a few offcuts, which I can use to create the other side of the cleat for like the hanging pieces. So that'll work really nicely, and I can cut these down into increments depending on what they are for. If this is the kind of projects you like following along with, where someone takes an old barn and turns it into a workshop, or if you just like seeing someone take a mess and turn it into an organized system, like, subscribe, follow along, because that's what I'm going to be doing over the next couple of weeks. I'm going to try to get one of these videos up every couple days because it takes time to edit it, and I'm not an expert at that yet. Thanks so much for following along. Let me know in the comments if you have any suggestions for projects you've seen that do something similar to this, and maybe they have a really good mount that they use for various tools. I'd love to see some of that and use it as inspiration for what I have to do. Thanks so much. I appreciate it.